Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Side to Side Sportscast. And today it's your boy Side to Side, Will and CJ. And you already know we come to break it down from the court side, the ring side, the sidelines. And for those sports they play outdoors, we outside, we side to side. That's how we ride. And today we riding with a special guest from the 215 is no one other than your boy Flores. What's up, man?
How's it going, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, man, it's going good. Thank you for coming on the Side to Side Sportscast, representing your favorite teams. And from what I know, you're a Philadelphia sports fan, right?
Yep, I was born and raised in PA, and I bleed green, as they say. So by default, I was, raised in a household full of Philly fans, so I just had to go with it.
See, it always made me mad. It made me mad because it's cool. Born and raised in Philly. Of course, I'm born and raised in Philly, but I'm not an Eagles fan. But a lot of people say I'm a Philly fan, so I bleed green. Why do the Eagles have so much dominance over the Sixers? Nobody bleeds red, white, and blue. Is you bleed green if you're in Philly? Why is that?
It may be more of a mentality thing. Back in the day, the Eagles were definitely a blue-collar team, and that definitely represents the city of Philadelphia, a hard-working city. People like to put their hard heads and go to work every day, and that's what the Eagles did, man. They had fun and played, hard-nosed football, running down your throat, and, they're going to hit you, and, you're going to have to make a good play every time. So that's the city of Philly. They say it's a Philly of brotherly love. It's one of those cities where it's like New York, you got to watch your step, but at the same time, it's a great place to be in. And you know what you're doing. It's a fun time.
Who's your favorite Eagle of all time?
Oh, favorite Eagle.
I'll give you mine, and I'm not even an Eagles fan.
I'll have to say Deshaun Jackson. He just does so much, especially as a young kid playing football. That was around my era, so I grew up watching him, and he definitely inspired a lot of my game and a lot of my ambitions as a kid playing and watching him in the backyard and in the streets.
You know who I loved? Brian Dawkins. That kid, he was just so much fun to watch. Like,
yeah, he came to play, man. You could tell every time they were gonna suit up, everyone was watching 20 on defense.
Yep.
That was one of the first thoughts. Him and Michael Vick came to mind when you asked me about that. But Deshaun Jackson, he just like as soon as he talk about the Eagles, one of my favorite memories is the punt return in the Meadowlands against the Giants late. Yep. It was just like, man, one of those like you just had to see it type moments, and even now people still know exactly what you're talking about when you bring it up. It's one of those unforgettable moments of my childhood. Honestly, I had a crazy night, and then just running up and down, screaming, everyone hollering, like I can't believe that was real.
Yeah, man, that was a moment where Deshaun messed up the whole city of New York. They still not over that play.
Yeah, they still hate him for that, and I don't blame him because that was just like that 1% chance that would that could happen, and he just pulls it off right then when they needed to. So, and flashy statement as always, he caps it all, falling back into the end zone. So,
was
man,
that your favorite moment of all time in Philly sports?
Oh, it's up there, but I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, that was it, man. That was like, I felt like I accomplished something in life because I rooted so hard. It was like when they lost against New England in the field goal, Vinatieri, just killed us. The chunky Super Bowl, as they say, they fell short. So then it was always this lingering. It's like, man, we had that one chance. And then they finally get back, and everyone's just like, we're not going to say nothing this time. We learned our lesson the first time, and then when it was finally 0-0 and they were done, it was just like kind of like a relief. It's like finally we can talk. We can have something to back it up with.
Yeah. Well, hey, those Phillies, they're spending money now, and
yeah, they're another team that growing up, unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to skip school to go to the parade one year, but that was something that everyone was a part of as well. It was just like
2008.
Yeah, man, it was great times for Philly. I was just thinking back, Ryan Howard. That's an old Phillies that he was definitely one of the big reasons why they were so dominant and why they were winning championships. I mean, this guy won and NL Rookie of the Year. He won NL MVP, World Series MVP. So he's definitely one of those guys. Him, J-Roll,
Utley,
Utley. Yeah, you got a lot of those guys who are just like synonymous with the Phillies. All of when you think about them, that's the legacy is with them.
Yep. I'm telling you, they're coming back. They got Harper. They're ready to.
Oh yeah, and they spent the money, like you said. They got Schwarber, they got Castellano, they got JT. They got a couple of the pitchers as well. Nola's catching up now. Gibson looks good starting out the year. They got Wheeler playing against the Padres tonight. That they're playing really well. They were up a little bit. I haven't checked the score earlier, but I know they were up 1-2-0. Yeah, man, they're getting hot. Bryce Harper, besides the elbow injury, I mean, he'll be DHing for probably the remaining of the season. But, I mean, he's been hitting the last couple of weeks. He's been hitting the ball really well, and he's seeing the ball really good. So that means, when he comes up in the lineup, we got Castellano coming right after to clean up. We got Schwarber coming up, leading off. So it's a good combination. Like you said, the money is in the lineup.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Yeah.
So I got to ask you, transitioning over to the court side, growing up a Philly fan, the Sixers, who would you say is your favorite Sixers player of all time?
You really got to ask that question. Come on now.
All right.
Hold on. Let me get my.
How obvious is it?
Come on, man. Let me get my tattoos. Yeah, let me get my tattoos in my head. Come on, it's Allen Iverson, the most influential. Right? He is the most influential basketball player of my generation, I can say without a doubt, and maybe in sports history, man. That guy just embodied, like I said, the same thing of Philadelphia, the underdog. The guy that doesn't get it his way. Life is really unfair, but he made it a way to make it happen. If you know his story growing up and his backstory, he was in jail. That's an All-American, McDonald's All-American, and everyone's kind of written him off until John Thomas was just like, all right, I'm going to give you this chance. Prove everyone wrong. And the rest is history. You know what happened. And, yeah, man, he's just taking them to the finals. I mean, that's like a LeBron type of caliber player where he could take a franchise from, a no playoff team to a contender just by himself.
Yeah, I mean, doing that his size was the most impressive thing, in my opinion. Like the way that, and he was a man that didn't shoot the three ball like a ton, right? Like he would take it when it was open, but like he just broke you down. He did it the hard way, and he did it in an era that was not calling ticky tack fouls either. Like he had to actually draw his fouls. He got beat in the paint for years, so averaging 30 a game for him was no easy task. He wasn't Shaq out there just bagging people down and banging on them. So I totally agree, man.
Hey, man, one thing about the answer is a lot of people like to make fun of his legendary sound clip. Practice. We talking about practice, not a game. We talking about practice. But today, we talking about the game.
Yeah,
people not even playing in the games. They might not practice, but they not playing in the games. It's
out, man. Yeah,
right. We talking about
Ben Simmons, right? AI played every game like his last. Some of these players approach the next game like the last game was their last game. They're not worried about it. That's just the difference between today and yesterday.
And to CJ's point, man, Kobe Bryant said pound for pound the best basketball player ever. We're lucky he wasn't 6'2".
Right.
Like Kobe Bryant said that, you're lucky he wasn't 6'2", because he definitely would have done more damage. And to CJ's point, he did it in an era where there wasn't the three ball. They're not shooting, 15 to 23 pointers a game. And he played in the big man era. He was playing against Shaq. You had Tom McCullough, big oof. You had these big goofy guys that's clogging up the lane. Geiger, you had what's the guy?
You had Derek Coleman out there too.
Dallenberg, the guy. What was the Gauskas in Cleveland? You had these big guys. You had big guys. You had centers. Not like these hybrid 4-3s. Like you said. Like to Will's point, they're coming in malnourished. Your 19-year-old kid that's 190 pounds soaking wet, and you're playing against grown men. who got bills to pay and kids to feed. You know what I mean? And they, like you said, they're 20-something years old and well developed at this point. So that's the difference between the old game and the new game is everything just sped up. No one's patient. No one wants to wait for that 4-year guard, that senior, diamond in the rough to come out. No one cares about that guy because they're worried about the next 15-year-old phenomenon to make money off of him.
No, Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard is one of my underdog stories, man, because he wasn't that highly recruited neither. This kid was on YouTube making videos in his garage, working out every day.
Yeah,
and he made it to Oregon, and then in Oregon he wasn't even gonna, he was a highly recruited guy at that point, but they were like, he might not play right away because he's a little undersized. It might be a liability on defense, and he was just like, man, let's just play, and I'll show you I can play.
Yeah, 100%. And hey, those are the new guys. That's the new NBA. Let's talk about these NBA playoffs, what we got going on right now. Because hey, we're in the conference finals, and we've got 2 hot matchups as of right now. While we film this show, the Golden State Warriors are playing Game 1 against the Mavs. We've already seen the Celtics lose Game 1 to the Heat. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's see what the bounce back is. Give me your overall opinion. What are your overall thoughts? Give me and then let's end it with some predictions.
Let's start with this. Let's start with this Boston Celtics versus Miami Heat matchup. Yvonne, what's your thoughts on the matchup overall?
Game 1 was spicy, man. It was crazy. Tales of the second half said it all, man. The first half, Boston came out swinging. Tatum looked hot the first quarter. They were flowing offensively, getting anything in the paint, they're getting lobs. Robert Williams' presence was definitely felt, coming back off the injury, giving them that dominant presence on defense to allowing them to switch off ball and on top of the rotations. And he just came in scoring, just getting the dump balls, looking like the Dwight Howard out there in the finals. It made the game look, a lot easier for Boston offensively because then the double teams weren't working for Tatum. He was just kicking them out. Pritchard comes in, starts lighting the, nets up from deep. Derek White comes in and relieves the ball pressure since Marcus Smart is out because of injury. And they played great the first half. I really was impressed. And then Miami was missing a couple of shots. They weren't forcing some of the turnovers. Some were, unforced turnovers, kind of like stalled out offensively, not knowing what to do. And that was just a credit to Boston smothering defense. And then the second half, credit to Eric Spoelstra, man. That's a Hall of Fame coach right there. That guy, man, I wish I was in that locker room because I don't know what he said, but Jimmy Butler came out and said, "I'm Jesus Shuttleworth. Let me tell you what I do." And he just lit him up, man. He just literally went, 20-something points in the second half? And he just took over, man. He was just like that older guy at the courts. You go to play, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to show you what I do. And he just takes over the game, and you can't really do much about it but watch and say, all right, he's going to have to keep doing that all night. And Jimmy did it. He just made hard shots and just made the right plays and found the right guys. Hero played well up until he was out. Shout out to Gabe Vincent coming in for Kyle Lowry. He played really well, moving the ball, hitting some open threes. Bam played all right, I thought. I would like to see more of him. I feel like with his skill set, he should be dominating from the mid-post down. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't have 20 and 10 a night. But that's the beauty of the Heat. They're so loaded. They don't need him to go 20 and 10 a night. He can go, 4 for 10 and have a couple points and a couple rebounds, and they'll still win because of guys like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I want to say, I know CJ's burning to talk about this game because, he's the Celtics diehard over there.
Yeah.
But, what's unique about Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler has only scored 40 points 5 times as a Miami Heat player. And in all 5 games, they were playoff games. He is a gamer. When it's big, like he just shows up. And I truly believe Spoelstra is an excellent X and O's coach, but I also think that a lot of what Jimmy did in the third quarter was he was getting kicked by Jason Tatum, and he went in the halftime feeling like, I can't let this happen, man. I gotta lock back in. And he came out inspired. It wasn't just getting to the foul line. he was putting the D on. He had 3 blocks and 4 steals, I think. And he was just scoring, man. That mid-range shot was clicking. And Jimmy, he turned the game up. And the unique thing about Jimmy Butler is he can come out this next game and he might get 15 assists. Like, he's going to play basketball the right way. I love what he said after the game. They asked him, how do you feel about 40 points? He says, look, I play the game the right way. It just so happens that game I had to score 40. Next game, I may not even need to shoot. Like that's why I love me some Jimmy buckets, man. I don't know what happened to the Celtics in the second half. I just feel like CJ could probably tell us. CJ, how'd you see
it? I am not worried about the Celtics in this series, and I'll tell you why. Because they controlled most of the first half. Excuse me. Until Tyler Hero came in and took over just for a short while. We could have ended the half up 28-15 if Hero doesn't come in and just start dropping runners and popping threes and shooting the hell out of the ball. They better thank Tyler Hero for coming in and saving their ass in the first, because that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what he did. He kept them in the game. It was within 3. Who knows what happens after that, right? Like once the ball gets rolling, and then they go on an 8-0 run. It's like, and they take the lead, and the Celtics are down by 8, and the Celtics are down by 10 and 14 and 20. It's like, momentum in basketball is huge. And here's what I'll say in the second half. Okay. This is where you're exposed when you lose 2 starters and you have to go to give extended minutes to guys like Daniel Tice and Aaron Nesmith. Aaron Nesmith, I don't know what happened between the draft and today, but he forgot how to shoot the basketball. He is at this point a hustle guy. And I guess people have to respect his 3 just because he used to shoot it. Like he's theoretically capable of making it, right? So, and then you have to give extended minutes to Peyton Pritchard, and that's just not his role. And I'm a Peyton Pritchard guy. I love him. But like he's a backup point guard that you use situationally against other guys who are undersized. You can't keep him out for extended minutes. It's just not prudent for you to have him on the floor for that long. And on top of that, I'm not going to say tired legs. I'm not going to give him that excuse. They had a day of rest. That's fine. It's the Heat, in my opinion, here's how I look at it. The Celtics beat, in my opinion, the best team in the East, the Bucks. Because, Giannis, imagine guarding Giannis for a 7-game series. Everyone else in the NBA that you have to guard looks reasonable, right? For you to be like, okay, all right, he's not going to punish me. And one of the guys on the side to side, I'll give him a shout out. He's called him Captain Elbows. You're not going to be dealing with this whole thing going, with a 6'11" guy taking stride. It's just, he's a different beast. He is just a different beast, and he can take over a game single-handedly. I don't think you're going to see Butler score 40 again this series. I'll say it right now. He's not going to touch the 40-point mark again this series. Smart, if he's on the floor, you think, in your honest opinion, I'll ask you, do you think Butler scores 40 if Smart's on the floor?
Meaning Smart's going to guard him the entire time?
Smart is going to put a body on Butler, especially if he starts to go off.
To your own point, though, the Giannis analogy, Butler's way bigger than Marcus Smart is. So if that's the question, my money's on Butler. 40, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's tough to score 40.
But the way Jimmy plays, though, he's not shooting the 3 ball 15. He's not going for like 5 attempts or anything like that. He's he, like you said, he's going into the paint, and like he said in the post game conference, I'm gonna shoot 0 attempts and I'm just gonna bang, 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 because that's what Boston likes to do. Marcus Smart, I love him to death, but he's one of those guys that overvalue in the perfect situation. He's a good role player, but he needs to, try to not do too much because he's going to hurt.
No. Offensively, I'll absolutely agree with that.
No, but even defensively, like you got to trying to stop Jimmy Butler because, to Will's point earlier, Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that you do not want to rattle, do not want to try to poke the bear because, he will go off for 40 again if you do piss him off because he's just that type of guy. He's wired like that. As you can see in every pros conference, he's not scared of confrontation, and he's very vocal. He'll call you out. Post a lot of Carl Ben Simmons. So
I think
Marcus Smart's a great defender. He got a defensive player of the year. No, disrespect to Marcus Smart, but the last two series, Jimmy Butler is just letting people know you can say whatever you want.
But my thing is this: Jimmy Butler, let's say Marcus Smart is guarding Jimmy Butler. Marcus Smart is the best man-to-man defender on the Celtics. He'll play better defense against Jimmy Butler, but with all that attention that he'll be giving him, Jimmy, you watch Bam. Bam will get going. Bam only had 10 points.
Freeze up somebody else, like one of our defenders, such as Grant Williams, who's considered one of our better defenders, or Rob Williams, right? Like my whole point is Al Horford is a very underrated defender too. So you take out two of those
are rotation guys or starters.
I mean, Smart and Horford are the perfect role players for the Tatums and Browns that we need to score the basketball, right? They have their specialties. They do what they need to do on the floor. One of those things is played really good defense, man-to-man. And when you just take that away from your team and they both get hurt, it's a brutal shot. It's a brutal shot. And I know the Heat were without Lowry, but I mean, I can't compare Lowry to losing Smart and Horford. So listen, I will give the Heat all the credit in the world. They actually came out with a plan. Spoelstra, like you said, give him a hell of a ton of credit because the Celtics were moving the basketball like nobody was even out there on the floor. It was like they were running drills for much of the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, then things started to, cool down a little bit, even out a little bit in the second half. And then all of a sudden, third quarter runs, it's like a brick wall. Just like all of a sudden, it's like the Heat were like, oh, we figured it out. Like, okay, time for it to change for the Celtics. But I don't want to keep bleeding green, like you said, but different green all over this show. We can switch to the Western Conference too soon because I know that.
Good, man. Before we switch to the Western Conference, man, you bleed green every week on this show. You ain't got to stop now. But fellas, so. Who's winning this series and how many games, Yvonne?
It's to CJ point. There's still an unknown. Is the timetable of Horford and Smart coming back because they're definitely important pieces to the puzzle. Because then you don't have Neesmith and Theismann and Pritchard playing so much of these crucial minutes, and they're great defensive players, like you said. To me, it's going to come down to the bench. It's going to come down to depth because that's what's been the fact of game one. Boston definitely had control, I said, the first whole half. They, like you said, they were running whatever they wanted and they were getting anything they wanted. And then, the tables turned in the second half. Jimmy Butler just turned the switch. And like you said, Hero did enough to help him, get them over the hump the first half, and he did the rest the second half. It's going to come down to players, stepping up and playing, a bigger role than they are. It's hard. I think this is going 7 games. I'm going to say the Heat just by a little, though, just because of the depth. They have, I feel like, more healthy players right now. That definitely plays a role. They're just getting lucky at the right time. They're getting hot, at the right time, no pun intended, but Boston is playing amazing basketball, but unfortunately, to CJ's point, they just finished a 7-game series against the best team in the East, against the best player in the NBA right now. And that's definitely going to take a toll that later on in this series.
Who you got winning this, CJ?
Come on, man.
Because I know. So For those that don't know,
I'll just
CJ had picked a scorching hot finals of the Heat versus the Suns.
I did.
But
and
it's okay to change.
And I am going to change.
Well, because the Suns are out already, so yeah.
I didn't think the Celtics were going to get past the Bucks, and then I thought that the Heat were going to end up beating the Bucks matchup wise. I think Celtics in 6 still. I thought Celtics in 6 from game 1, and here's why. The way that you break it down by games, big if the Celtics can get game 2 split in Miami, go home, take care of business for 2 games. Lose 1 on the road, whatever, cool. If you end it in 5 and you like, fantastic mini sweep, granted, like that's great. But I think they come back to the Garden, they just end it in 6. I liked what I saw out of a diminished roster against, by record, the best team in the East. Okay, I liked what I saw out of that, and it just so happened they kind of choked a little bit in the second half. But again, you lose a defensive player of the year, you lose Al Horford, one of the team leaders, one of the vets on the team who helps orchestrate that defense. That hurts. And I think if they have those, you might even see a different result in game 1. So Celtics in 6. That's my prediction.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you my pick. I think this is also going 7. I think Boston wins the next game. I just think like they're going to bounce back. Udoka seems to be able to get this team to bounce back when everybody is counting them out. They were 25-25, talking about splitting up Brown and Tatum. Now look at them. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Losing one game one isn't the biggest of deals. So they're going to lose one. But then you got Spoelstra, right? So once this game is split and it goes to Boston, Spoelstra is absolutely taking one of those games, right? So we have a split at 4. These next 2 games where we go back and forth, that's going to split somehow too. The road team may win. These are going to be some knockdown, drag-out fights. I think game 7 comes down to a couple plays, a few possessions at the end, right? And here's where I am with it. I normally would pick Miami to win this series, but there's a play that I remember that happened in the bubble where Jason Tatum was going up for the game winner, and Bam was just like, get that out of here.
Yeah. And
Bam sent him that video every year on the day that it happened, just to remind him that it happened. Jason Tatum's hitting an iconic game-clinching, maybe not game winner, but game-clinching type of shot on the road. I can just see it happening right now in my non-existent crystal ball. I'm actually going with the Celtics.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here from Gaddy. Tatum.
I'm actually going with the Celtics going to the finals. Now, let's talk about this matchup on the West.
Hold on. Just to interrupt, I did tweet during the first half of the game yesterday. I could see a Celtics Mavericks finals headlining Tatum and Luka. I just wanted to throw it out there because it is out there, and someone could send that back and bite me. But
okay,
I did say that.
Segue that. Give me. Is that what you're doing? You're going Mavs. You're going Mavs and Luka.
You got Mavs beating the. You got Mavs beating the.
My thought process for those picks were the young guns. The guys who haven't won are gonna come. It's their time to shine. Thinking of Bird and Magic when they first got in the league and just kind of swept the league, and kind of just like we're like, oh, we're here. And these are 2 guys who are under 30, probably under 25. They're so young and raw still. And like Tatum, like to Will's point, last year they lost by he blocked that dunk in the conference finals, and he gets that motivation, the Kobe thing, and then Luka's has been. He's just been on a world tour, just killing, smashing cities and cities all year, and now he's just drinking beers before game 1 before the Warriors. So that was my thought process behind that tweet, because the way they're playing and the way the playoffs has been is kind of looking like that. But we'll see. It's gonna be interesting couple more games.
Yeah, man. See, I'm not saying this because I'm hating. This is not a hater comment. Luka is the best player remaining in the playoffs, in my opinion. He's the best player.
Agreed.
The Phoenix Suns got out coached. I'm surprised. Jason Kidd out coached Monty Williams. He spread them out. DeAndre Ayton couldn't play in the series. He proved not to be as diverse as we thought he could be, but you took him out the whole series. And then the team just came up short. And, Dallas just out toughed Phoenix. But Phoenix just has one veteran leader, and that's Chris Paul. Golden State has three of the more veteran presences that have championship DNA. I do not think that Jason Kidd is going to be able to get the one-man army to get past these Golden State Warriors in 7 games. I think it's going to be a closer series. Dallas is going to rally, and I'm actually pulling for Luka. Don't get me wrong. I would rather see the Mavericks get to the finals. I would rather see that. But I just feel like Golden State is going to – I think they smell blood now. They can get this game, and I think they look at Miami and Boston as 2 teams that they can win a championship over. So I'm going to go with Golden State in 6.
Wow. Okay. I'm actually on board. I'm almost want to go Golden State 5. And I love Luka. I'd love to see Luka in the finals. I think if the Celtics made it, I would much rather see Luka than Golden State. So I'm pulling for the Mavs. I hope my prediction isn't right, but Golden State, I don't know what it is. Just the fact that they got Clay back now and he's starting to get in rhythm and they're starting to feel that again. And then it's okay, they've lost Durant, but Jordan Poole has just come out of nowhere and figured out how to be part of a big 3. And then obviously you have Draymond Green, who's just, like you said, the championship DNA. He's been there, done that. He knows how to be a veteran leader. He's going to be a pest. He doesn't care if he picks up 6 fouls on Luka as long as he gets under his skin and Luka, only puts up 24, 25 in a game. It's just there's I just see Golden State as seasoned and ready to, make another finals. Now, as far as beating the Heat or the Celtics, I think both of those teams actually give them a much more difficult matchup because, if you look matchup to matchup, switchable defenses, more athletic bigs, they're not looking to just one guy to score all the time. The Celtics, they've beaten Golden State on Golden State's home floor, I think more than any other NBA team since the big 3, since Curry's career started there. So it was, they have a really solid home record or away record against Golden State. So don't count out the East if Golden State makes it. I just think it's going to be, I think it's Golden State's turn again in the finals.
Okay. Well, look, we got 2 great series in the East and in the West. And I think that's a good point here to really talk about the teams that they got through to get to this point. So we got 4 teams that are home watching. They might as well have been on the Sportscast with us. We got the Philadelphia 76ers. We might have to get JoJo on the show. We got the Milwaukee Bucks. We can have Giannis Antetokounmpo on the show too. We got the Memphis Grizzlies. Mad probably whooping some trick right now. And we got the Phoenix failed to do it Suns, unfortunately, right? Just chilling in the valley, and what do these teams need to do to go into championship form, to become a contender? Let's start with these guys. Let's start with the Phoenix Suns, right? Phoenix Suns, you got Chris Paul, the point guard. Listen, Chris Paul, he earned that nickname because no matter what team he goes to, they become a playoff team. They may not get through the playoffs too well, but he changes a whole culture. Teams that are not good become playoff bound because he's a true leader. He did that in Phoenix. Phoenix wasn't good. He comes to Phoenix. They didn't make a lot of roster changes, but he instilled in that team, along with Monty Williams, what it takes to become a contending team. Last year, they had a chance to win. They had a chance. They blew it. Up 2-0, lost 4 straight. Giannis looked like King Kong and Godzilla out there. They couldn't stop him, right? Now, this year, they had the best record in the NBA. And you get single-handedly taken down by another one of the league's best players, Luka Doncic, right? And then just so happens in Game 7, Spencer Dinwiddie goes off for 30, and Jalen Brunson has a big game as well. So Luka got the help that he needed to close out the Suns. Now, Chris Paul's another year older. They may not bring back DeAndre Ayton. They can't go into the season with the same team next year because who knows what's going to happen. Kawhi's coming back. Denver's going to be fully healthy. The competition, you had 2 straight years to do something. But I'll tell you one thing that needs to happen, in my opinion. Devin Booker has to learn how to beat a double team. He's great, but when you double team him, he's not. He's got to get rid of the Kardashian, like my man Yvonne said, and he's got to learn how to beat a double team this offseason. He's got to shape himself in the MVP form if he wants to, if the Suns want to do something. But is there a roster addition that the Suns can make? I got a unique name for you guys, right? I just want to say this. This is an underrated player. He actually, in the city that I live in, is an overrated player. He's not even wanted anymore, but I'll take him because I'll tell you what, if the Suns can find a way to keep DeAndre Ayton and acquire Julius Randle, I'd rather have Julius Randle as a diverse 4 than Jay Crowder. You need Jay Crowder coming off the bench. You can't have Jay Crowder starting. Julius Randle was an all-star, right? And he's just falling out of favor in New York. But if you can add him to this team, I think that makes them a little bit more diverse, and they can possibly next year get to the NBA Finals. Yvonne, it looks like you were about to say something.
I had a funny thought. I was like, you need to ask Elvis if you can segue that clip of Devin Booker complaining in the pickup game that he doesn't want to be double teamed because he should have did that.
Hey, bro, we're not doubling an open gym, bro. Yeah, we are. I get that shit all season, bro. Come on, man. Let's work on our game, bro. Yeah, we are. Let's work on our game. It's part of the game. Send it. Running double open gym? Yeah.
So there's a lot of drama in Phoenix. That's just my biggest concern because of what I've read, the blogs and the internet stuff on Twitter, whatever, that there was an in-house dispute literally the last game because of DeAndre Ayton feeling ill will about Chris Paul getting an extension and not him from the front office. And to your point, Chris Paul is, one of those guys that he'll make a franchise definitely better. He'll come in and make you a playoff contending team. And with the pieces they got, I mean, Booker isn't going anywhere. He's just going to be, trying to get better, hopefully this offseason. Chris Paul, in my opinion, was hurt. And, he got hurt probably game 3 or 4. I think there's something wrong with his quad or hamstring. We can all see he lost a step in burst. He was not the same player the rest of the playoffs. So him having that injury and him being 30 plus years in the mileage, like you said, he is the point guard, but I feel like age is becoming a factor now. He's just one of those guys that, he can't be timed no matter how good he is. And his record is what it is, definitely a Hall of Famer, but I don't know if he's going to have maybe two more shots at this to get it done.
Well, I hope, man. That's
because I don't
38-year-old, man.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing with the West being, like you said, Memphis, Ja got hurt. So who knows what that series would have been like if Ja didn't get hurt. And what they can do coming out, because they were a surprise team coming out the West. And shout out to Zach Taylor is their head coach. He did a phenomenal job, just getting those guys ready. Even without Ja, they were playing excellent basketball. And to my opinion, they were playing better basketball without a star player because the ball was just flowing on offense. They weren't just watching, that guy go to work. But they got to figure out – Phoenix got to figure out what they're doing with Ayton. He wants to leave. And like you said, I don't think with that roster, how it's built and the West getting better, they got Kawhi. Denver's going to come back stronger than ever. The Clippers got a good team. They got other teams Memphis isn't going anywhere. You got Golden State still competing right now. Mavericks are definitely going to be a contender again. So, yeah, Jay Crowder, that small ball floor, in my opinion, can work in situational games. That's situational basketball. That's playoff basketball where you're just trying to expose mismatches and spread the floor to isolate certain players to do what they do. But that isn't going to get you, over the hump. It works in the, regular season because you're just, playing every night and day. You just got to get people out available. But, yeah, they definitely need to figure out. Julius Randle is an interesting piece. That was a nice name he threw out there. I honestly think they need another, big wing, maybe a 4 who could just get the job done or just get the ball in the post. And because what Ayton, he's one of those guys that piss me off because he's just so good and he doesn't utilize his height and his ability. Like, you're 7 foot, you can dribble, pass, and shoot, and you can shoot the ball very well for your size. Just create. You don't have to ask for permission when you're that good. You just do it. You just, something what Shaq would say, just go out there and assert your size. Just dominate. Don't, because when you do it, no one's going to tell you to stop. Once he starts going off, no one's going to say, don't do that. So he's a young kid, though. He's still very young, so that's something that they got to figure out. Emotions were definitely high after the loss, and even during the game because of the reports that he was frustrated with the extension. So I don't know, man. I don't know what Phoenix is going to do. It'll be interesting.
Hey, let me give you my targets if I were Phoenix, because I don't think they need to do much, especially even if the Ayton walks, right? I still think the core of that team is very strong. I don't think Chris Paul is washed. I think he ran out of gas at the end of the season, but this is kind of to my point. You need to deepen that bench. You need to, like Gaddy said, I think a big part of that, and Pat Beverly talked a lot of smack, but one thing that I agreed with him on was that Monty Williams really needed to recognize that Chris Paul needed to get spelled for a few more minutes, and Payne could do that. I think Payne played his way into that lineup and earned some respect over the season to earn some of those minutes. And we're seeing it right now. Exhibit A, Peyton Pritchard, again, to name him two times in one call, but like he showed what he could do in the season, and he's got some trust. And I think there's more to be said about that, and giving Paul those 37-year-old legs a little bit more of a breather. Now, free agents that I think would work well for Phoenix, assuming Ayton's not on the team, which frankly, if I was Phoenix, I'd let him go. You got $60 million in cap space, over $60 million in cap space this offseason. Go spend some money, not on DeAndre Ayton, because here are some guys that could be valuable. I think they need kind of a B-level scorer to pair with Booker. He's taken a lot on. I don't think Cam Johnson, your guy, you need a guy to put it in the bucket. Victor Oladipo's out there. He's probably not going for a super high price tag. Athletically, give me a break, Caddy. You'd be pumped if he was on the floor.
Victor Oladipo going to play 14 games.
The other guys, that's not necessarily true. And if he's healthy, he's going to help that team out a lot. So there are 4 other guys that are more role players, but I think they'd actually fit well with the team. Chris Boucher, I think, he is just a high energy guy that could run in Phoenix and be paired well on the floor. Pat Connaughton, I think they need another 3-point guy. He, like you were saying, spread the floor, larger wing. If anybody watched the Boston series with the Bucks, he more times than not, he was able to come in and actually make a little bit of a spark off the bench. And if he's here 6 or 7, great guy to have. Kayvon Looney and Mo Bamba are my other guys as some less expensive.
Who was the other one?
Mo Bamba and Kayvon Looney.
Yeah.
I like both of those. I like both of those guys specifically to replace Ayton at a lower cost, but provide a similar result. If not a better result, just because of their skill set, right? You can kind of plug and play with them a little bit. So
Mo Bamba is actually a guy that I do believe that they're targeting heavily for a free agent. And I would personally love to see him with Monty Williams. I think he's got untapped potential, very long, rangy, a good shot blocker, rim protector, more so better at rim protecting than Ayton is. But, and a cheaper option. So they could do that. They could do a sign and trade with Ayton, but I don't want no parts of Victor Oladipo, man. He could go sing a song somewhere, do what he do.
Hey, listen, you can put stipulations in contracts that he's got to make a certain number of games. You know, like he's not going to be expensive. And I'm telling you, the impact that he could provide for a team versus his price tag could offset really nicely. Some GM out there could be looking like a genius.
I think the only way he leaves Miami is if somebody's offering him money that Miami just will not. But I think he'll stay in Miami for the discount. Jimmy Butler and him are best friends. But no, that's a good suggestion, though. It is a good suggestion.
I like those. I like the 3 players. I agree with Will. I don't like Victor Oladipo just because of the injury, history, and him just getting back, and him trying to fit and find his role in Miami, and them doing so well, and him coming back. He still hasn't even played like 50 games.
It wouldn't surprise me if he stayed in Miami. It's still a good fit for him.
But those 3 other guys were really good because they all are big men who could shoot the 3 ball. It's surprised me well, especially Mo Bamba. I feel like he's gonna be a hot commodity because all those he can play the floor any position. He could play damn near 3 to 5 and still be productive because of his range. He can guard the multiple positions, shot block, protect the rim, and shoot the ball. So even if he's not, the main guy, he'll just spread the floor and get you some good passes. I'm not saying he's Draymond Green, but he's definitely, like Will said, has untapped potential. And Chris Bouchard, too, from the Raptors. I feel like against the Sixers, he played very well against Embiid. He definitely caused a lot of havoc. And like you say, he's a guy that comes off the bench and has that spark. He gives it all he got. And he's been developing. He gets better every year. The more he plays, the better he is. And he's starting to develop a 3-ball as well. He shot really well against the Sixers. He's one of those scary players because he can just go off, and you're just like, who is this guy? Where is he from? You know what I mean? He's just like an overnight celebrity because he has that untapped potential that, depending on what he eats that day and, what he does, he might go off on you. And you're like, who is he? Yeah. Those 3 guys are crazy good picks. So those are like you said, very undervalued guys who have potential to, cash out this summer and get some good money in the free agency.
Speaking of free agency and speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, right? This is a young team that has a lot going for them. They got a young core. They've got, Bane, who was a very late draft pick, who was just taking the league. He's one of the best shooters in the league, hands down. You got, of course, the superstar, Ja Morant, right? Who he gets nicked up here and there, but the team has learned they win without him. Jaren Jackson, like a stretch forward. Dylan Brooks, has come up big. And they have a center in Steven Adams, who he can't really play against teams that spread it out, but teams that want to bang, you can put him in there. This team really doesn't need to do much, but they're growing by experience. Experience for them is the biggest addition that they can have. But I think they're going to be a team that heavily, pursues Mo Bamba because he would be perfect. He can shoot and defend, and he's got size, and that's what they need. I feel like they are going to put the full court press on Mo Bamba, and that's why I kind of don't think Mo's going to wind up in Phoenix. I just feel like he's going to be like old behind Chris Paul, young Ja Morant going to Memphis, right? And I kind of feel like that's part of it. And Memphis is dangerous. I would not be surprised if Memphis makes the Western Conference Finals next year. They're young. They're hungry. That team is together. Taylor Jenkins is doing an amazing job. I actually had them going to the finals this year, but clearly they weren't ready. But I think experience is key. I think next year, big chance they could be there. And look for them to sign Mo Bamba.
I agree with you. They should do virtually nothing. I don't even care if they get Mo Bamba. Doesn't matter. Virtually nothing doesn't mean nothing. I agree that they also could use another veteran presence in the locker room, but that comes cheap. I mean, we're talking about, go get a guy like Otto Porter. Like if you lose Kyle Anderson because somebody's going to go throw too much money at him for a stupid contract because some dumb GM's going to pull the trigger.
Slow-mo, come on, man.
Some GM is going to be like, he's
he can go back to he can go to San Antonio again.
We're going to watch him drop 20 and 10 and be the least exciting player to watch on planet Earth. But like, in all honesty, like if he walks, go out, go talk to Jeff Green or Otto Porter or like even like a Joe Ingles, that'll give you some solid minutes too and decent defense, 3-and-D. Just find that veteran guy who's not going to clog any minutes up, but like can produce a little bit here and there, give you a solid 12 to 15 a game, but be like the heady guy, right? He knows what's required in the playoffs and he knows how to get through teams, and just bounce back from losing, going down 2-0. It's not, we've won 2 games in a row, boys. We can win 2 in a row and then we're back to even again. Like, hell, we can win 4 in a row and just take the series. Let's go. Like, just having that veteran mindset and bringing people back down to earth. It's important, and that's why Gaddy knows. That's why I've preached Al Horford for so long, because I just love him. I love his head. I love that he doesn't get too high or too low. He just keeps everybody chilled. So that's what they could use. Memphis, just don't do anything drastic. Go get your veteran.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay.
And give for the reasons why. So Kyle Anderson, he's got to go. He's unproductive in this era of basketball where the pace is so fast. We got the 7-second offense, 3-pointers, people just running and gunning coast to coast. Kyle Anderson is a liability on offense. He's a great facilitator, but lacks offensive capabilities. People are sagging off him left and right, daring him to shoot and clogging up the paint. I don't care how good of a passer you are. I don't care how good of a defender you are, how good of a rebounder you are, how nice of a person you are. That doesn't make the basket go in the hoop. You know what I mean? The ball in the hoop, sorry. He's a great player, but he has to go. If Memphis wants to get better, they're going to have to make changes. They're going to have to get someone like a Julius Randle, like a Mo Bamba, like a Joe Ingles, like a Pat Connaughton. They need players that come in and give them more than just one dimension. They got so many players, even without Ja Morant, that offense flows. The ball does not stick and doesn't get stuck in people's hands. They're going to find the people cutting and getting to the lanes. Anthony Melton, who is that guy? That guy came in and started lighting up the freaking scoreboard, and I'm like, he can shoot and he can block shots? Where the hell he been? You know what I mean? Tyus Jones is killing it, shooting the ball very well, making great plays on offense, running the offense and making sure everything's getting done. They got the glue. They just got to cut the fat. Kyle Anderson got to go. Steven Adams might be on the chopping block because he's also a liability. In this generation, you got to have people who can do more than just one thing really well. You got to get people who do a lot of things great. Like Otto Porter. He's not a superstar, but if you put him in that starting rotation, he's going to produce. I would love to see his plus minus at the end of the year. So you got to get people that are going to be more of a contributor. These are great people. They're not bad basketball players, but if you're talking about making a push to get a championship, you only got so many opportunities, and especially in pro sports, you got to capitalize. Ja Morant only has so many more times before he can keep his knee in place. You know what I mean? Like,
when you got knees like that and the way that Ja plays, you might only have 5 years left. So
that's what I mean. They got to cut the fat and make some changes. They got to make some drastic changes. They got to make a trade and maybe go get a Julius Randle. Or, you know what I mean? They got to make so they can have someone who can go and be a B-level scorer, who can bring the ball up and score the ball. You know what I mean? Because you got people sagging off you and you got people daring you to shoot. In this age where everyone can shoot, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, hey.
No, points well taken. You brought up a name, Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, very underrated. He is a free agent this year, and I think he's going to get a scoop. I think he did so well in the games that Ja Morant missed that he could be a starter. He stepped up this year. So I wouldn't be surprised, and this has nothing to do with the teams that have exited the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tyus Jones in a place like New York. But let's talk about the East Coast. Let's talk about the Sixers and the Bucks collectively.
Let's go Bucks. Yeah. I was just gonna say, because the Bucks we know, right? The Bucks have their core. The Bucks are pretty set. They should just, if they had Chris Middleton, I guarantee you the Bucks are saying right now, if we had Chris Middleton in the Celtics series, we win that series. So they probably just want to run it back. And
I kind of feel like they were missing Devontae DiVincenzo for a reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just because he was on the other squad and they made the run. But yeah, to your point, they just got hurt. They were not 100%, and unfortunately, you gotta have.
Lopez had just come back from injury during that Celtics series too. So it's like, in their minds, I guarantee you, the Bucks are like, we just got to stay healthy. We'll come back next year and just beast out. Like they do have a couple free agents, like the guy I've been mentioning, Pat Connaughton. He played a bigger role for them down the line, and
he was hurt for a lot of the year too. So they just got it. I feel like what they did last year was, again, trim the fat and got swap out a couple pieces and got some other guys in. I feel they're going to do that again this season.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just got hit with the injury bug. If they were 100%, it definitely would have been a different story. So we'll see what happens, because they're right there. They're one or two pieces away.
100%. Yeah, especially with Drew. They got, as long as they got Drew, Chris, and Giannis, they're going to be in contention.
You just got to have 3-and-D guys. You just got to have guys who can shoot the ball and play defense man-to-man. You know what I mean? That's all they really need. And with Brook Lopez being the force that he is in the paint on defense, and Giannis covering so much of the ground, it's really easy to play with those guys.
Yeah, there's almost one name that I can almost guarantee is going to be on the Bucks next year and be an incredible upgrade off of their bench. You want to talk about bringing in a player that can get buckets, who can shoot it lights out. Very underrated. Is in a situation where started off they needed him, but as the year went on, they didn't show him a lot of appreciation because a certain individual came back. Then they made a trade. Now they got all these guards. I don't think he's going to opt into his player option. I'm talking about Patty Mills going to. If there's one move that I can just see, this is definitely going to happen, and it's going to fit, and it's going to make them better. And also Chris Middleton coming back, and I think they'll be the favorites in the East with bringing Patty Mills off that bench, who can score a lot of points. What'd you say?
That's scary because he was very impressive before the trade for Steph Curry. Yeah, I think that kind of hurt them, to be honest. Because
absolutely, and then Ben Simmons working into the mix. Kyrie's going to be back full time. There's no more room for Patty Mills. He's going to Milwaukee.
You're not going to like this. You're not going to like this, but that's my offseason prediction for the Celtics because of Ime and his connection in San Antonio.
Oh, that's a good point too. You saying Patty to Boston?
Patty to Boston, because
Patty gonna be wearing green. We just don't know if it's Forest green, or we don't know if.
Man, I want him to wear blue with the Sixers logo on the front.
Everybody wants him because he is just the perfect veteran. He's gonna make the right play. He can bang shots down when you need him to. He's that guy, right? He's that guy that you just want on your team.
Can we segue into the Sixers? Because
let's do Sixers, my guy.
What do the Sixers need to bring to next year, Yvonne?
Well, to CJ's point, Patty Mills is going to be a hot commodity this offseason for all the reasons you stated, just 10 seconds ago. And the departure of Steph Curry really hurt the Sixers. I mean, the lack of shooters. Tobias Harris is not a max player. He is not. I did not want him when they traded Jimmy Butler because of that reason. He's just not. Like, if I had to pick between Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Brett Brown, I would have kept Jimmy Butler and made him the head coach and player. Seriously, because the worst part of when they beat the Sixers wasn't that they beat us in Philly or whatever. It was that he says after the game, I wish I was still playing with Embiid. And that killed me as a Sixers fan. Because I was just like, that's like that ex-girlfriend that was just like, I was too young for her. She was really a good girl, whatever. And she's just like a fucking supermodel. And you're like, why did I mess that up? It was a perfect marriage. Like, I had it made. And that's how Jimmy Butler is to me, because he was just like, wow, they had a great 1-2 punch with him and Embiid. But because of Ben Simmons and because of Brett Brown and because of Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler seen the writing on the walls and was like, I'm out of here, champ. I'm going to go to South Beach and try to win me a title with these guys. And
I love Jimmy Butler, man. I love him. Listen, we're playing him right now, and I'll tell you what, in the same offseason, there was you know how NBA rumors are. Everybody's rumored to go everywhere, and
Yeah.
Celtics were looking at Gordon Hayward or Paul George, and years before it was Jimmy Butler, and because he has the Jay Crowder connection, right? Like
Yep.
they boys in
Marquette.
college ball together. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, that guy's always been a dog. He came in at last pick of the first round, and when he went to the Sixers, I was like, "Ooh, this is."
It was scary. Everyone got scared.
He's great up here, and up here transfers to the team on the floor. And if you got Embiid clicking with Butler, and
he was the alpha on the floor even when Embiid was on the floor.
Right.
It was like 1A and 1B. It wasn't 1 or 2, but you could tell it was Jimmy Butler in control, and then he would let Embiid do. He would just let go and let Embiid do with his thing.
Biggest mistake, I think. Well, aside maybe from
it was.
Trade,
it was. But the Sixers need to do a lot, in my opinion. They got to get
what's 1, 2, and 3. What's one? If I said you have to do 1, 2, and 3 things, top 3 things that you need to do to fix this Sixers team right now.
Restructure Harden, because Harden is not going to get a max. Sorry, you can't. You're already $40 million on the cap, and the way you played this season, and my problem with him is I don't think he's 100%. I need to get you back. You're not the player you used to be, so your market value is not the same. Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm sorry. So he's going to have to take a pay cut. And with that money being reallocated, they're going to have to get more shooters. And like my point earlier, they got to get some more defenders. Embiid is a great player, but he cannot be getting punished like that. They're going to have to get like a Jay Crowder. I would love to get them a Marcus Morris or Marquise Morris, just that bruiser, tough. I need someone that's going to, be an enforcer like a Lambeer used to be. I don't need you to go give me 14, 15 points, but I need you to give me some rebounds and some hard fouls to let people know you can't be just knocking Embiid down. And they got to get people to shoot the ball. With Steph Curry being out, that killed them. Without James Harden had the ball in his hands so much. Without that separation, everyone's just standing still and can't create. So it's definitely a problem in the playoffs. And they need a backup center. Without Drummond, Drummond killed us not being there, because when Embiid's not on the floor, they do not rebound the ball very well. And they were getting killed in the playoff, in my opinion. And that was part of why they lost the series, because they just couldn't rebound when Embiid wasn't on the floor. And they just ran out of gas offensively. It's like they were just trying to do too much. And with Embiid being hurt and trying to play through it didn't work out with that roster. So I feel like they got to get some more acquisitions and refinance some of these contracts. Harris as well. He's not a max player. He just got paid at a certain time because the market dictate that. But
Harden's getting the max. I hate to tell you, whether it's from the Sixers or not the Sixers, somebody's giving Harden the max.
He might opt in, but I don't think he's getting the max, man. I think he's going to throw a hissy fit, but I don't think he's getting a full max extent. I think teams are going to start to try to reset the market and be like, we'll pay you $50 million, but for 1 year. And if you earn it, we'll pay you $50 million another year.
Yeah, player option.
I think this is going to be the year where they try to do that. The players aren't going to like it, but when you take a look at like Chris Paul just signing his big contract, and look, he's gassing out, right? And then you look at what's happening with James Harden. Now these owners are going to take advantage of that. I do want to just bring up Andre Drummond for a second, because one thing we learned about Andre Drummond last year in the playoffs when he was in LA, this guy cannot defend the pick and roll. He can rebound at a high level, but when you get him out there and you force him to make a decision, he is so slow-footed that he becomes a liability. And it was hidden when he was playing spell in the Sixers. That was actually the perfect role for him. He plays 19 minutes a game, gets you 9 rebounds. Like, that is a high rebound.
19 rebounds.
Yeah.
That guy's a rebounding machine. Yes.
But when he went to Brooklyn, they needed him more, but then they learned they couldn't use him as much, because you get him in a pick and roll, he's done. You know who would be a perfect player to add to the Philadelphia 76ers? He's one of my favorite players. We had an argument about him earlier in the year. We're probably the only people who ever argued about this dude. I'm talking about Montrezl Harrell. As the 6th man In Philly, he will be 6th man of the year.
Oh,
He will average
perfect
18 and 8 off the bench and be the 6th man of the year. And that's exactly the type of toughness that they need to come and spell Joel Embiid. You know, Maxi's coming into his own. I don't think they're going to – Harden's going to be there next year, but you need him to be healthy. This might have to be a load management year for him. I know they're trying to do without that, but you need You need Harden healthy in the second half of the year, not necessarily the first half of the year. But that's my addition for the Sixers.
The Sixers don't have a lot of wiggle room with salary. That's what we were just talking about before, and that's what's going to kind of, you know, put the cuffs on them a little bit, so to speak. But I'm going to tell you what's a nice little simple signing for them. A little familiar face. His name's Andre Drummond. He's going to be a free agent. I think that helped with Embiid being off the floor more than I imagined it would at the beginning of the year. If you had asked me when actually we did cover this topic, and I was like, it seems redundant. Doesn't look like it's going to be it's going to be just a weird fit. And it wasn't. It was Doc used him appropriately. He was like, all right, Embiid's off the floor, Drummond's on the floor. We've got a big guy who's going to defend the paint, get boards, and dish it off. And you know, Embiid obviously is more a part of the offense, but Drummond's giving you the same as far as size goes. You know, they basically take an Embiid defender out of the East to face, right? And he's on the team, and he's another big guy. I mean, go get him again. He's going to be cheap. He was the perfect fit, I thought. He was clicking with the team. He had a good role. Seemed like he was happy there. And then you had to go pull the trade. I mean, listen, the best news that you could ever get is that Harden's going to opt out of his contract and go find money elsewhere. I think he's going to opt in, like Gaddy said. But listen, I don't think there's a lot of options out there. Just knowing how little they have to spend, they're gonna have to go after veterans, you know, and try and squeeze as much juice out of somebody like, you know, LaMarcus Aldridge, or like the Nets even did with Blake Griffin or Dwight Howard, or some, like, you know, they're gonna have to go scrape the bottom of the barrel. A lot like, I mean, the Celtics are in the same position. They both have pretty, if I remember correctly, like roughly around 20 million this offseason. That's not a lot of money to go around and improve your roster. So you're going to probably try and find a role player in the draft for yourself, sign him to a nice, you know, light contract. And then, I don't know.
I mean, they do have the young guy who played a little bit, Paul Reed, who definitely played a lot better than DeAndre Jordan. I was actually disappointed in DeAndre Jordan. I thought that was going to be a good fit because your point,
done, man.
He's just done because I just didn't think he was that washed. I thought he could at least come in and rebound and at least block like a one shot a game. And this guy was just watching the ball come off the rim and not even, you know, moving. And he was like the last guy coming back on, you know, just trailing the plays. And I just can't deal with that as a player.
Yeah, he was. It started to show last year in Brooklyn that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no wonder he was still available last minute.
I don't even know why the Lakers bothered trying to make.
Because he's bottom of the barrel, like CJ said. Those are the guys that could fit the cap, and unfortunately, you have to get those guys just to fill the body. But the Sixers, they got to refinance some of these guys' money because they're so tight in the cap. They have to get something else out.
Do you think they moved Tobias Harris this offseason?
No, but I wish they did. Honestly, they should trade. The way I was feeling, they could package Doc Rivers, Harris, and Thibault and go, you know, go give me someone who could just defend and shoot the three ball because the way they finished the series was bad, man. It was embarrassing. We got blown out. It was bad.
CJ says that Andre Drummond would be a good fit. I said Andre Drummond can't guard the pick and roll. And that's been his problem. So let's go to our last segment of the day.
Hold on. Yes, but real quick, I can't allow this to go by unsaid because there was some Andre Drummond hate there that I just can't appreciate because you guys are literally looking at like the last year of work, which frankly he was with. I mean, Brooklyn, Philly. Okay, if we want to say the Lakers, but prior to that, This man is 28 years old.
I like I like Drummond. There's no hate. I wish he stayed. No,
right.
I would say Steph Curry stayed because the Sixers are better with those two.
You about to go into stats again, man. Listen, let me tell you. I don't care if Andre averaged 20 and 15, right? The man can't play defense. He can't play defense in the playoffs.
But to your point, though, Will, with the Sixers, they'll be able to.
With the Sixers, he's a good fit.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be on the court for a long time. So I do agree with both of you on that. I'm just saying, let's not go.
No, there's no DeAndre hate on my books. I love him. I didn't want him to get traded, and I didn't want him to get traded. So
I just think he's a little petty, like his personality type.
Oh yeah,
petty. And
but he's young. He was a former All-Star. Like he was the main guy in Detroit all those years. Yeah. So he's not no slack. Like he's no jock. He's not a ball bag guy. He's definitely gonna come in and get some score. Like if you give him the ball, he played well in Brooklyn for a few games, and then they realized he couldn't defend the way they were playing, and he's just slow. But I mean, he was perfect in the Sixers rotation.
Yeah, no, he was. He was
perfect.
A great fit.
I wish he does.
I really think the Sixers did themselves a disservice by trading him. I think that was a big.
I said they got worse when they got Harden because the whole offense changed. Because if you notice when they got Harden, Tobias Harris played a horrible first 8 games. Like he didn't know what to do. Like he didn't even know what his role was, who his name was, what he was doing on the court. He looked lost. Like you could tell his psyche was hurt when they got him because he was like, oh, now I'm definitely third fiddle. Ain't no question if I was second or third before. I'm definitely third now.
Yeah, then he got bumped to fourth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Maxey arose, and then but they figured it out. But they gotta get more for less. Yeah. They gotta figure something out because Embiid is there. Embiid's an MVP caliber guy, and he's not gonna tolerate the front office that's not doing what he needs to get done.
And Embiid runs the pick and roll, Gaddy, and that's what we're doing right now.
Yes. So let's talk about our latest segment here on the Side to Side Sportscast. It's the pick and roll, where the three of us are going to pick a narrative that surrounds a player or a team or any type of sports affiliated topic. And then the others are going to decide whether they're going to roll with the narrative or pick it apart and pop it up. So I'll start us off, right? Here's one of the more trending narratives going on right now. That Chris Paul is not a point guard. Fellas, what do you think about that narrative? You rolling with it?
I'm rolling. I'm rolling. I'm rolling with it. And here's why. He's not a point guard anymore. He is a exceptional point guard still who has a very high basketball IQ and can help run a team. So a valuable asset on a potential championship team. He is no longer the point guard. He's not. I'm sorry. If you want to call somebody the point guard, I'm giving that title. I'm slapping it on Luka's chest. I would even put it on Curry's before that. So there we go. Those are the no point guard title for CP3. That title has been revoked. But
Yvonne, what do you say about the narrative? You rolling with it, or you picking it apart?
I'm picking it apart.
Okay.
You guys, man, I'm disappointed. You got to pay homage to the point guard. He's not Superman, but damn, he's the point guard for a reason. I think he needs to take a step back. I think Father Time is definitely creeping up on him, and he's just going to have to reevaluate what he can do. I feel like he needs to be first healthy. He needs to get back to 100%, and he needs to change his role. He was playing really well for a handful of games in the playoff, especially in the fourth quarter, and letting the game come to him and setting everyone else up. I think the Phoenix Suns need to get another B scorer, and Chris Paul needs to become more of a pass-first point guard. Even though he is that, he needs to be more aggressive, meaning that he is going down and looking to score, but he's going to give the ball off once they double him. He's definitely capable of that. His mid-range is still there. I just think he needs to figure out what he can do besides not score the ball. He's playing great. He's off the ball. Pat Beverly was saying he's a bad defender. He's hurt, He's a good defender. He was just hurt in my books. I think he just needs to reevaluate the situation. DeAndre Ayton, they were having an issue internally, so that played a role on the court. I just think that he's still a point guard because of what he's done, and he still needs to get another chance. He was hurt. I mean, let's be honest. If he was 100%, I feel like that series could have been a little different. Not saying they would have won, but I feel like it would have represented the team differently and had better aspirations in the offseason than how it ended. So for those reasons, I'm going to pick it apart.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to pick this narrative apart too, and I'm going to look right in the camera because I hate this narrative, man. Y'all going to stop messing with my boy CP3, and I'm going to tell you why. He is the point guard because a point guard's job is to be like the head coach on the court. Today's era of analytics and stats and all this stuff. Chris Paul not going out there scoring 25 points, averaging 12 assists, right? His job is to make sure the whole team is in the position they need to be in and better. What he brings to the court isn't always going to show in the box score. But I'll tell you what, he is old now. He's older, right? But he's still got a high basketball IQ. Now, a lot of people like to point out, but he's 0-7 in his last game sevens, in his last 7 game sevens. You know, he's the only player to lose 5 2-0 leads, right? But what point guard in NBA history has ever been the best player on a championship team without another Hall of Famer? Now, Magic had Kareem. It's arguable who's better. Steph, maybe that one year they won a championship, but he wasn't even the MVP of the finals. But then he had KD, right? He had KD. Stockton didn't win a championship. He had Malone, you know. Kyrie had LeBron. You tell me a point guard who has won an NBA title as the best player on their team. Chris Paul has never played with another Hall of Fame player. Never has he played with somebody that you look at, like, yep, that guy's going to the Hall of Fame. He has not played with a Hall of Famer, but he can make your team good. Chris Paul simply needs another scorer on the Phoenix Suns. That's what he needs. He'll be a champion if they get another scorer, but he won't be the best player on the team. But he is the point guard because he knows the position. He's a basketball savant. And Patrick Beverley, Chris Paul put 33 up on you in a closeout game. The nerve of you. You pushed him because you was hating. The nerve of you to come on a sportscast or a podcast talking crap, man. I'm picking that narrative apart. Chris Paul is the point guard. So,
all right.
DJ, what's your topic?
All right. Well, hey, I'm going to tell you right now. The WNBA is 6 inches shy of being exciting. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm going to tell you why. And I mean that because they got to lower the rims. All right. They need to lower the rims, and people, you know, the feminist crowd out there will get really, you know, mad at me and do the same thing that men do. Okay, great. But listen, if you want to make your sport as exciting as the men's game is, you need to be able to throw alley-oops, do 360 dunks on the fast break, have a dunk contest during the All-Star break, you know, things like that. They're going to get things more excitement, right? I understand that their game, you know, they play it more methodically, and you know, the everything mechanically about basketball, the shooting, the passing, the defense, everything is there for basketball. Very respectable game to be played. But the fact of the matter is that men are not only able to jump higher, we don't even take that. If we don't even want to take that into account, let's just go by average size. Men are on average in the NBA 6 inches taller than women in the WNBA. Even if we said, all right, let's cut the difference and we'll just take 5 inches off an NBA, off a WNBA hoop, and they play at a 9.5 foot rim, I guarantee you the action increases immediately, because there are probably some women out there that are just that close to being able to throw one down, get an offensive rebound, a putback tomahawk, you know, and just be on SportsCenter right now. What highlights do you see? A WNBA highlight, it's usually one of 3 women that can possibly dunk the ball doing a one-handed dunk. I don't know how many more times I can get excited about that in my life. And then, or it's a buzzer beater 3. that's been made, right? Or somebody's won a championship, in an exciting fashion, but it's not moments, right? There are not these crazy moments that happen in WNBA, and that's what's lacking. So my narrative is WNBA 6 inches short of being exciting.
And
you picking? Are you picking me up? You picking, popping, rolling?
I'm not rolling with that. I'm not rolling, man. I'm picking and I'm popping, man. I'm popping. I'll tell you why. Because nobody wants to watch a bunch of females running around dunking on Fisher Price nets, man. That's not exciting. Like,
can you dunk on a 9.5? Can you dunk on a 9.5 foot hoop?
Daddy, can you dunk
on a 9.5 foot hoop?
I don't want to see a girl do a tomahawk dunk on a 7-foot net. I don't care about that.
I didn't say 7
That's
feet.
not basketball, man. Listen, NCAA women's basketball gets ratings. WNBA doesn't. Do you know why NCAA women's basketball gets ratings? Because it's played during basketball season. The WNBA is doing themselves a disservice by playing in, from April throughout the summer. People care about AAU games more than the WNBA. People aren't home watching the games. They don't care. Nobody cares about what the Phoenix Soul are doing, or the Mystics, or the Chicago, whatever their name is. Nobody cares about that because the season takes place in the off season of other sports. When they're playing, the NBA is pretty much fading away. The NFL is the off season is the primary topic, and then the baseball fans care about baseball. But women's basketball is a great sport. You really got to be a basketball head to admire the fundamentals that go into women playing basketball. It is not about dunking. One of the most exciting teams is the NBA is the Dallas Mavericks. They might dunk once every 2 weeks, right? They don't have anybody on their team that's just dunking on people.
What?
Luka's not even dunking on people. They're hitting step back threes, back cut layup.
You're spewing nonsense. That's nonsense, because every single game there is a dunk. This is how
But I'm saying, all right, who's the last player you remember dunking on the Mavericks? Who dunked on who? Tell me about the play.
Maxi Kleber, getting a rebound and putting it back. What are we talking about? Anybody on the Mavericks also play?
Listen.
Hold on. The Mavericks also play another team every night. Who dunks? Somebody on their team or somebody on the other team. There is at least one dunk in every single NBA. I would be shocked.
People don't even watch. The dunk contest is the most failing part of All-Star Weekend right now. The dunk is not the most important thing in the NBA, right? The three-point shot has become what is popping in the NBA right now. Step back threes, creating off the dribble, shooting the shot, no-look dimes. All of this today means more to people than dunks. I just don't think that putting dunks and if there's a 6'4" girl with Inspector Gadget long arms that goes and dunks like a regular dunk, that's cool to me, because women are built different than men. You just got to appreciate women for what they do and how they play basketball. The reason why the WNBA is failing is because of the way their league is ran and when it takes place, not because of how basketball is played. Because when these women play college basketball, there's a lot of money going in there and the ratings are high. People watch those games. They don't watch the WNBA because of when it is. But I don't know. What are you doing, Yvonne? Are you picking that or are you rolling with that?
All right. I'm picking it, but for kind of the same and different reason at the same time. So I kind of agree with your last statement. It's about rating. It's about investment. It's about identity. The WNBA is highly underfunded. They're highly underpromoted, and they have no face of the WNBA. What is the WNBA logo? I don't even know. Who's the NBA logo? I know it's Jerry West. And Will's point, you got to be a basketball head to like it. I love WNBA basketball. I lived in D.C. for a lot of years, and I definitely watched the Mystics tour down all the way to the championship. And my friend actually was a practice player for the Mystics, so he got to play against Deladon. He got to play against Deladon in practice, and he told me, my friend is 6'6" and probably has a 40-inch vertical. Deladon gave him the business every day. And he would talk to me every day right after and just talk about how great of a player she was and how fundamentally sound she was and how she would just make him jump through the roof off a pump fake or off a face-up reverse pivot off the wrong foot, and he was just like an awed about how excellent and amazing her footwork is. I don't think that lowering down the rims will help bring anything new, because to Will's point, I don't want to see them dunking on the lower rim. It's exciting as hell when I see Lisa Leslie dunk the ball, Kansas Parker dunk the ball, Ayanna Patterson at UConn dunking the ball in high school games. The women are catching up. We got to give them time. Just like in everything in life, we got to be more patient. I think that they need to go about it in a different manner and invest in the women. They're playing at the wrong time. They're doing a disservice to Will's point. They need to come out with a time where they're playing and it's just done. So that way people that want to play basketball or want to watch them can see. And then these girls are dunking and playing great basketball. I love to see a girl get crossed over and get hit with a step back, shot that is perfectly sound. They have the perfect fundamentals. Girls basketball is really fun to watch if you're into it. So it's not for everyone, but I feel like they're going to be dunking.
I'm saying we got
but they dunk now. I mean, you got to watch these girls play. If you're not watching them like in the NBA, you got to watch these guys come out from college and up. There's girls at UConn that are dunking right now, man. There's girls in the WNBA that are dunking. Deanna Taurasi used to throw it down. I know she's an old head now, but she used to get it in. You have people that have done it before. It's a rare commodity. I just feel like the women are going to get there in like the next 10 years. It's just we got to give them time because to their point, they're not built the same. So,
they are evolving athletically. No, it is happening. But they're
gonna have that fusion of both because they are fundamentally better than NBA players. If you watch an NBA game and a WNBA game, you will see the difference. The screens are way better. The ball handling and the shooting is way better. And like you said, not everyone's super super athletic. So they gotta be amazing at doing certain things. So even the role players have more of a value because they have, more to offer because the game is more simpler. They are getting there, but I just feel like they just need to invest more and have more marketing. Who's the face of the WNBA? No one knows right now because there's just not enough people caring, I feel like. If they invest more people will start caring.
It was going to be Kobe Bryant's daughter. Rest in peace, Mambacita.
It really was.
But, Yvonne, what's your narrative?
So what I'm going is Jimmy Butler as a top 3 guard in the game right now. Are you thinking it or are you rolling with it?
If we're
top
considering
guard in the league right now.
So I guess we can call him.
Well, how about top 3 player?
A top 3 player.
Top 3 player?
Player. Yeah, I said it. It's
I'm popping that. I'm gonna have to pick and pop on that one.
You hit me with the Maxi Cleaver 3.
Yeah. Yo. No, I mean Butler. I sang his praises, and I'm green team all the way. I'm Celtics. I'm facing them right now in the Eastern Conference Finals. I hate playing them, but top 3 in the league, not on the list for me.
Okay.
There's too many other. When you said best guard, I was like, okay, I can give him that. Even forward, I was like, we can make an argument there. Man, I just have a struggle putting him over, Giannis, Luka, Jokic, Durant, Embiid. Like I don't know, man. That's my thoughts. I don't.
Maybe a top 3 wing player, but I can't roll with top 3 overall player. I think he's highly underrated. I absolutely think he's a top 10 player in the NBA. But if I go to your first remark, you say guard, but if I just say wing, if I think of players on the wing who are definitively better than him, we can put Luka out there as one. Luka plays point, but he's more like a wing. But we'll leave Luka in the point guard conversation. So then who do we have? Like literally, you have LeBron, you have KD, and then you have Jimmy Butler. I could honestly say he may be a top 3 wing. If you put it in that category.
I mean, Kawhi's in there too when he's healthy. Paul George is in there too when he's healthy.
Jimmy out there playing all the time. Kawhi is playing sometimes. You know, Jimmy out there.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, Will. Don't steal my ammo. Hold on, don't steal my ammo.
No, let's let Yvonne. Let's let Yvonne wrap it up.
Yeah, you go, man. Are you rolling or picking apart your own?
Oh, I'm jacking. We're rolling with this one.
Okay.
All right. So listen, Jimmy Butler is one of those weird guys that people do not want to give him credit when he needs to get the credit he deserves. He is going to any team in any game, and he's going to make them compete. He has that alpha dog in him. He is a top 3 player. They're still in the hunt right now. I don't want to hear about Kawhi. I don't want to hear about this, that, and the third. They're not playing right now. Jimmy Butler has been phenomenal all season, and he doesn't have to put up 30 a game because he can affect the game in more ways than one. I feel like he can play a game where he can be the point guard and have 10 over assists and have 10 points, and they win by 20, and it's happened before. And Jimmy Butler is a two-way player. He's a top, he could damn near be an all-NBA first defensive player if he's not already every season. He's averaging over 2 steals a game in the playoff, and his points per game are going through the roof. It's probably over 26.5 a game in the playoff alone. And especially in the last series, he gets better when the competition gets better. If that's not a top player, I don't know what is. He rises to the occasion, and he's only getting better as the game progresses. He's not even a good three-point shooter, and he's getting to the free throw line almost 10 times a game. Imagine if you start shooting the 3-ball really well. What are you going to do with him then? He's a physical guy who's going to take a smaller guard into the post and just beat them all night long and make them double team. If you get a bigger guy, guess what? He's going to get by him and get to his spot in the elbow and kill you with the mid-range. And if that doesn't work, he'll start drawing fouls and getting people open with the pass and drawing more double teams. And with the roster they have in Miami, it's perfect for him to wheel and deal. He's like a guy at the casino. He can play a little roulette. He can play a little blackjack. He can go to the poker table, and he still has game all around. He's doing everything you can ask out of a player. So why not? Why is he not a top 3 right now?
Hey, man, those are all good points, well taken. Now, if he's not a top 3, who are the 2 players that you put above him?
I mean, currently, Luka Doncic, he's just that guy. He's young, and he has the experience of playing overseas and winning championships at 16 against grown men. We're talking about, the different basketball eras earlier between now and then. He was the guy that got to play against grown men since he was a boy, and he's matured with them and gotten to that size that they were just talking about it the other day. Is he really 6'8"? That guy looks like he might be 6'10" and about 220-something. He's not a little boy, and he's only 23 years old. And the second guy, Steph Curry. I don't care. Steph Curry just changed the game for me. So he can always have that moment where he can just go and dominate a game and just get hot. When he's on the court, you got to guard him from half court still. He still has the range, and he still has the capability to start playmaking and creating for others. But, I mean, Jimmy Butler, he does it all. I mean, what part of his game besides shooting the 3 can you see any flaws in it?
Well, I will say in the regular season, he was shooting in the 20s from 3, but in the playoffs, he's shooting 35%. He steps his game up when the moment steps up. Well, listen, Yvonne, I just want to say, man, it's been fun having you on the Sportscast tonight, man. We absolutely going to have you on again. And for ladies and gentlemen, those that you don't know, Yvonne is a hooper himself. Back in 2009, 2010, you may know this basketball player that played for the Chicago Bulls named Ryan Arcidiacono. Yvonne was out there giving this man bucket after bucket after bucket, and I seen it with my own eyes. Ryan is lucky he had connects because Yvonne should have been in that Chicago Bulls jersey. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to come on the Sportscast. Call it how you see it. Call it how you saw it. Call out those who didn't see it how you saw it. Represent your sports teams, and let's talk about some of the trending things that are happening in the sports world today. Yvonne, thank you, man. We absolutely going to have you back on the Sportscast, so stay tuned. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we out.
It was a pleasure, guys. Thanks a lot.